Yes, live vlog on the beach. As you can probably tell, I am enjoying a bit more sand and surf. I'm in Panama, but I'm not going to talk about that country until the next vlog. I'm also constantly struggling with these light levels. It looks to me like I'm pretty dark on the screen, but maybe that's the sacrifice for this beautiful background, and so I'm not going to re-record, so hopefully this works. I'm sure you can hear me even if it's a bit windy. So, last week, I've got an entire country to talk about, Costa Rica. It's been like a bit of a whirlwind last few days really. I think the last, end of the last vlog, literally had just entered across the border from Nicaragua, where we'd spent the previous, well, nearly 4 weeks actually, whereas Costa Rica we just bombed through in 5 nights. It's been amazing, it's been really cool. I mean, it was kind of lived up a little bit to the expectations that we'd heard, in the sense that it was a lot more expensive and certainly a lot more touristy, and I'll come on to that in a minute, but it was still, we've had an absolutely fantastic time. We only got to a couple of places, because as I mentioned in the last one, en route to Panama City, our flight's in less than a week from today now, and then that's it, Central America's done. Fly to Galapagos. But Costa Rica itself, the 2 places we went to, the first place was Monteverde cloud forest. Now, that's kind of in the northern part of the country. The cloud forest, for those of you who don't know, but you could probably take a guess, is a forest that's high up in the mountains, often covered literally within the clouds. So even though it doesn't rain like a rainforest does, it's very, very moist, and so you end up with really loads of greenery and loads of diverse wildlife. There's a small town called Santa Elena, which is very close to Monteverde where we stayed. It's really got the feel of, like, obviously without the snow, like an alpine town. It's kind of in the hills and it's all cool. It really does feel like you could be in the Alps in the summer. It's a bit cold, bright, super windy. It did rain a little bit, so it's very different to Nicaragua and different to the other places in Costa Rica. But the cloud forest itself, oh my god, it's amazing. It's so lush and green. We did 2 things while we were there. Rich and I in our hostel met an American guy called Manuel, who we hung out with for a couple of days. First day we did these kind of crazy zip lines, which are really famous in this part of the world, including the longest zip line in Latin America, which, depending on which part of their literature you believe, is 1.5 to 2 kilometers long. It's really long, and it's the final one of these like interconnected zip lines through and above the canopy in the jungle. I've got a bit of footage from that actually. I think this one's from Rich's GoPro, but this was awesome. It like genuinely felt like you're flying.
Let go.
So that was cool. That was like tied in a sort of a Superman way, so you've got one hook on your back and one sort of at the top of your bum, so you're just like flying across the ground. And then at the end of that little journey, you do that, this kind of Tarzan bungee rope swing thing. I managed to try and film Rich, but I missed him jumping off because I was still taking my harness off, but I've got this.
Hey.
So that's Rich. But to give you a better feel, we were also with a Spanish guy called Marcel, and I filmed him doing the whole lot. So this is what we did at the end.
Still alive.
Here he comes. So that was heaps of fun. Really cool way to see the jungle, and I know a bit of excitement. I mean, it was full of people on holidays. Like, there's loads of Americans in Costa Rica, and as I'll touch on when I talk about Manuel and Antonio, I'm fully aware that we're tourists as well, but this really felt like we were kind of part of someone's holiday as opposed to the kind of the backpacker trail that we've been following. Second day I wanted to talk about in Monteverde, we went into the actual cloud forest itself. So Rich and I went along with Anuj, who was actually an American now on holiday just for 6 days. Really, really nice sound lad we met in the hostel, and also a Canadian girl we met called Megan. The 4 of us went up to the cloud forest. They wanted to take a guided tour, So you pay to enter the park, and then you can just walk around and see some of the wildlife. You pay an extra $20 each for a guide to take you around with a telescope. Me and Rich weren't going to bother because we felt like we spent quite a lot of money in the last few days anyway. But Anush basically did the nicest blackmail of all time, where he basically was like, guys, you've really got to come with me, you've got to come, I'll pay for you, I'll pay for you. And he was just being really genuine and nice, and he was like, I'm on holiday, but obviously we couldn't accept that, but then we didn't. our excuse of saying that, well, not excuse, that we didn't want to go because we couldn't afford it was kind of blown out of the water, so we did it, the four of us, and oh my god, it was the best decision we've made by a mile. We wouldn't have seen any wildlife without George, our guide, and actually we saw amazing stuff. I've got so many photos and little videos I'm going to just try and quickly drop in now. Like, we saw super famous birds, actually the national bird and currency of Guatemala, but we hadn't seen one of them there, these beautiful birds called quetzals. We saw, oh god, we saw so much stuff. Oh, we saw some more coatis. Here's Rich playing with one. We've scared him off. It's only a baby. We saw a tarantula. Definitely not going to drop in a photo of that, but we saw a big one. We saw, this is the most exciting part for George. So he does these tours 1, 2, 3 times a day, and we saw a tree porcupine, a pregnant one, and he said he sees them about once a year, literally once a year, up in the tree. I've got a little video of this. So that was really quite amazing. Amongst some other bits and pieces which I'm going to drop in now. Baby hummingbird. That's perfect. Oh, actually, that last one, I'll put it in last, this is a really amazing photo. That tiny little weevil grasshopper that you saw was sitting on top of another insect that had been infected by this like zombie fungus, which basically takes over the insect's body and it starts controlling their movements, so they can't decide where it's going, and ultimately it eats the brain and erupts those little mushrooms out of its head. That whole thing was like this big, and that poor little grasshopper that happened to jump on as we were taking that photo is now going to be infecting himself, and he's probably dead already. So we were seeing stuff like that all over the jungle, and so I could go on and on and on. I'm not going to turn this into a biology lecture, but we had an amazing day. We saw some really cool stuff, and we just had a really great time with Megs and Anuj walking around. We also, before we knew we were going to take the guy at the office suggested a route for us to take, and he drew the map for us, and he was drawing some of the places to go, and he circled the route we could go. This is what he ended up drawing on my map. So, and we ended up walking that way, so I mean, it's pretty obvious what that is. And we walked up and down the shaft and saw all of those animals, so it was good, if slightly random and slightly funny. The only other thing, oh god, more stuff to talk about. Monteverde, there was an amazing, crazy tree that was like half an hour walk outside of Santa Elena town, which was a strangler fig. So it's basically, it starts its life out as vines and it comes down over tens and hundreds of years, strangles a tree inside, and turns into a tree itself, or hollows, and the tree inside dies, and you can climb up the inside of this one. I mean, check out this was mental, it goes so high. Yeah, show us.
Right, do it.
Oh, someone's up there already.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh fuck, they're all the way up there.
Incredible.
Hola amigo. Hollow tree all the way. Oh, there he goes. So that was really cool. So I mean, everything I've talked about there, that's only been in the first 2 days. And actually the final thing which we're going to have to talk about before I talk about leaving Santa Elena is we had a really odd argument with our hostel owner / manager. Basically we booked into this hostel and we'd asked to extend our stay by 2 nights. There was a couple of issues. He didn't know whether we were going to be able to do that, but he told us around 2 PM that was fine. Me and Rich were going to have to move into separate rooms, but that was okay. We did that. 10 PM that night, I get a message from Rick. We've had like a long day and we got up early, so he's already gone to bed. And he's saying the guy's come and woke him up in his room. Well, not woke him up, but like knocked on the door and said, "Sorry, mate, we're double booked and you've got to check out in the morning." So I go downstairs and start saying to the guy, like, you know, "What's going on? You've told us you can stay. Are you going to charge us the full price?" And he got like super weird and defensive and a bit aggressive with us. We just left it and walked away, and he like shouted after me, like, "Are you done yet? Are you done yet?" And we were like, "Whoa, okay, you're like the manager of this hostel." Anyway, we just checked out in the morning and went to a new place, but that was a really bizarre situation. And he was a bit off with some other people too, which is really odd, because if for some reason you happen to be going to Santa Elena, don't go to Monteverde Backpackers and try to avoid a lad called Emil, because he was weird. Anyway, that's 2 days or 3 nights in Santa Elena. Absolutely class. We had a brilliant time with the Nusian Megs, as I said. Watched a cool sunset with them. And yeah, guys, I hope you're watching this, and yeah, keep on doing what you're doing. Right, next stop, we had time to go to one more place in Costa Rica. So we went down to Manuel Antonio, which is Costa Rica's most visited national park. It's another rainforest, but this one's like right on the Pacific coast, like literally where it meets the ocean. We've been really hoping we're going to see even more amazing wildlife, but honestly, and you know, I don't want to start sounding like too much of a dickhead moaning about these awesome places, but we were nowhere near impressed. We'd had such a good time in Monteverde, and this place was rammed full of tourists. Rich sent me this photo where there was like a tiny little snake on the ground. It was like not that exciting, and there was like about 50 American tourists all crowded around. There was one hilarious moment where our guide had like spotted this cool frog, and he was looking through the telescope, and like this American lady just bowled past just as Rich was about to look, and like tripped over and like scared the frog away. And that kind of stuff was just completely indicative of the whole of Manuel Antonio, really. Having said that, when you come out of the jungle onto the beach, even though it's filled with swimmers, it's beautiful. I mean, look, you can see from here. Lots of tourists, but still very beautiful. So that was really pretty, but overall Monteverde is better. If you're thinking about going to Costa Rica, and you've got to decide between the two. Anyway, I've managed to talk for over 10 minutes on this one. This is going to be a super long vlog. We had made our way down to Panama after that, but I think I'll just save that for the for the next vlog. But basically, it took us a while and a day longer than we thought it was going to do. But all in all, 5 nights in Costa Rica. We packed in some really good stuff. Met some really cool people and saw some amazing wildlife. So yeah, as always, I hope you're doing well. It's been very finally, it's been a good week for the top 10. I got my dad's entry yesterday, which is very good. A lot of like classic 60s and 70s folk rock. I'm learning like loads of new tunes. If you didn't watch last week's one, I'm collecting top 10s of people's favourite tunes. I'd love to hear yours. Drop me a message about it. And yeah, I really need to wrap this up. So big love to everybody. I'll leave you with the beach, and yeah, see you next time for the final vlog of Central America.